welcome to North American Ag Spotlight. I'm Chrissy Wozniak. I've been able to get a previous guest to come back to talk to me this week. He's the president of Focus Management, Fred Pidsadny. Thanks so much for being here again, Fred.
Always a pleasure, Chrissy, being here.
Awesome. So you are holding a Silo Busting Roundtable
We
on March
are.
31st at 2 o'clock. So first of all, what is an organizational silo and what is all this fuss about?
Well, let me start on the fuss side of that question. Today, there has never been a bigger need for organizations inside to be helping each other, to be collaborating, to be working together. There are huge challenges that require us to work together to solve all these challenges that the pandemic has created for us. And yet, just when we need that kind of internal help, cooperation, and spirit, we've got these things called silos that really are preventing organizations from working together. So silos is just a way of describing departments who have created very thick walls between themselves and who in fact impede the ability of the organization to work together. So huge need, huge walls, not a good situation.
Right, exactly. So what are the telltale signs of a silo? Like how would you recognize one?
Yeah. I think that the number one telltale sign of a silo is when you see departments who are more focused on achieving their own goals, achieving their own needs versus the needs of other departments. That's the number one telltale sign.
Makes sense.
Let me give you a couple examples. Marketing departments who love to work on new product development, new markets, etc. When the sales department is asking them, look, you got to give us more collateral to help sell to existing customers in existing markets. But the marketing department's off doing their innovative, creative stuff. I mean, that's one example. Let me give you another example. An engineering department who is focused on creating new things, new products, new features, when the operations department is having a tough time meeting the specs on what has already been designed. So here you got the engineers who want to be creative, be innovative, manufacturers trying to figure out how are we actually going to build the stuff that they've already designed for us. I mean, those are two examples, and I could go on, and I'm sure you could too, and our listeners could also, as they start thinking about, like why is the accounting department creating these fancy dancy charts and reports when most of us don't even understand them, unless you're an accountant?
Yeah, for sure. So silos really are everywhere in every type of organization. On the farm, for example, it could be accounting versus maintenance people or drivers. For manufacturers, it could be engineering versus the sales department. Like what you were saying, in a nonprofit, even it could be marketing versus administration.
Yes.
So, how does this silo mentality really impact organizations?
Well, silos, the existence of silos and those thick walls create friction, and friction creates heat, and heat always creates losses of some type or another.
Hmm.
And so eventually, all that friction, when people are not working well together, they're not playing together nicely, as some people would say, that eventually shows its way to increase costs because efficiencies go down, deadlines start being missed, customer um, customer promises are not being met. And eventually, customers see and feel and hear this. And you don't want to disappoint customers because that's not a good thing. So, costs increase, customers become disenchanted. I think those are sort of the two major kind of results of silos.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So we've worked together before.
Yes,
So you know that I've experienced low confidence when it comes to deliverability between departments like this.
yes, yes.
So is that normal or was I an exception?
Listen, it's very normal. In fact, there was a study done not too long ago that was reported in HBR, and it's very, very telling. One of the questions they asked is this: what percentage of managers would say, I have complete confidence that the departments that I work with will deliver what I need. I have 100% confidence. What percentage do you think of the manager said, yep, I have total 100% confidence? Take a guess, Chrissy.
40%.
That's high. It was only 9%
Oh my goodness.
of the managers that said, I'm
Wow.
totally confident that others in the organization will deliver what I need. It's the reason why, after a while, operational managers go outside for HR services or IT services because they get disappointed so often with their internal resources. Now, when they change the question slightly to say, well, what percentage of you would be have a 50% confidence level?
Mm,
50%, it goes up to 60%, but that is still a
yeah.
frightening statistic. So what you are feeling in your organization is very normal. And I suspect anyone who's watching this right now will start thinking about their own experiences with other departments, and they may start seeing that in a different light, because I bet any money that the reason why those frictions exist is because those walls, those thick silo walls, have been created.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I actually do clearly remember when I was working with you before, that aha moment when I realized that we're all serving our own department's metrics, and
Yes,
collectively we're not serving the company, we're just serving ourselves.
correct.
So, do you see that often?
Very often. And the reason is this, Chrissy, is that for the last 50 or 60 years, after something called management by objectives was introduced to the business world, in say the late 50s, early 60s, it was called MBO. A lot of your listeners would recognize the term MBO. And that's been changed over the years. So people now recognize words like KPIs, for example,
Right.
or success metrics. But unfortunately, over the last 50 or 60 years, we've gotten really, really good at setting our objectives on how they will help my department and my organization. And it's always aligned to the organization, but it always seems to be focused on this is what it's really going to do to get our department over the line.
Mhm.
And in fact, what has been neglected quite a bit is, what are the objectives that we have that will help the other departments? What
Mhm.
did they need from us? Because we're all interdependent, but very little attention has been given to that part of the equation in terms of, what do I need to do to help the sales department? What do I need to do to help engineering? What do I need to do to help HR, for example? And that's really the main cause of these growing thick silo walls.
Right, that makes sense. So, for the people attending the roundtable that's coming up, what are these people going to walk away with?
Well, they're going to walk away with three things. First of all, I think a better understanding as to why silos exist and what do they look like. I think most of them know the feeling, but how do you recognize them? So, secondly, they're going to walk away with some tools on how to tear down silo walls. So, if you
Mhm.
are in an organization where silos exist, and I suspect most organizations have some silos somewhere, how do you, what's the process of taking those walls down? And then thirdly, the old adage that says an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The other takeaway, the number three takeaway, is, what do you do to prevent silos from being erected in your organization? Because once those
That's a
silos
good point.
go up, as you know, silos on farms last a long time. You see them after windstorms. They may have the roofs blown off, but the walls are still standing there.
Right. That's a really good point. Yeah,
So
that's
those are the
good.
three takeaways.
That's great. It sounds like an awesome event for sure.
We hope so.
Yeah. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
And yeah, like I said, it sounds like it's going to be excellent. And then thanks to everybody that's watching or listening. If you want to learn how to remove a silo, if you have one, or to prevent a silo from being built in your company, go on over to northamericanag.com/silo and register now. Space is very limited, right, Fred?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we've limited the number of people because we want to make sure there's lots of interaction. This
Mhm.
is not going to be a webinar where you're listening for, 30 or 40, 45 minutes. There's going to be lots of interaction amongst the guests to make sure that they truly get good value out of the workshop, not webinar.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So the links are provided in the show notes, and that's it. Have a great day, Fred. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thanks, Chrissy. You too. Thanks for the opportunity. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the workshop.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks a lot.